All right, Myles Garrett has requested a trade as the NFL news cycle kicks off Super Bowl week. So, what now? Should the Browns comply? They say they want to keep him. I'm going to dive into all that coming up. Plus, look at 5 teams that make sense for him if they do opt to trade him. But first, subscribe to us here at 4Verts. We cover the latest NFL news, rumors. It's Super Bowl week, so we'll have plenty of content and coverage for that as well. We're less than 500 subs away from 7,000. Can we get there by the Super Bowl? Tell a friend, hit that sub button. Let's go. I'm Harrison Graham. Welcome into 4Verts. So the Browns superstar wants out of Cleveland, citing his desire to win a Super Bowl, and clearly does not believe that he can get that done with the Browns. He's 29 years old. He's probably looking at this like it's kind of a now or never thing, about to get a new contract in most likelihood. And I kind of think, and maybe people disagree, and I'm sure Browns fans in particular do, I think the Browns should trade him. I really do. I think the Cleveland Browns should say, you know what? And by the way, what they're saying right now, which is being reported, is we have no plans of trading him. Our feet are in the sand, all that. That's the smart play, because if you publicly acknowledge, yeah, we'll trade him, the value could go down a bit. I absolutely think they should trade him, though, and a few reasons why. One, they do not have a quarterback they can win with currently. And by the way, I don't think they can get one this year. I don't think Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders in 2025 gets you on a path to contending at a major level, especially in the AFC. He's 29 right now, so his value's not going to get higher. Once you turn 30, defensive lineman, like that value, it's going to go down. And to me, you could load up on capital to get a quarterback next year's draft. We'll see what that quarterback crop looks like, but most believe it'll be better than what's available in this draft for QB needy teams. There's no doubting Myles Garrett is a superstar player. He's one of the 3 best pass rushers in the league. He's still in his prime. I think he still has a few prime years left. I'm not acting like it's an easy decision, but to me in the NFL, when you have a superstar trenches player that has a lot of value, but you don't have the quarterback to win with, there is real temptation to trade that player, especially if he's getting a little older like Myles Garrett is. Like if he was 25, yeah, keep the player. You expect to be good by the time he's still in his prime. You'll find a quarterback. You'll figure it out. There's a real scenario here that you could keep him 2, 3, 4, 5 years go by, and it's just kind of for what point? Yeah, sure, he racks up stats for you, but if you're not contending, does it really matter? Like, if I'm Cleveland, I'm shopping him around, and I'm seeing if I can get multiple first-round picks to fast-track a rebuild and put me in position to get a quarterback next year. A couple NFL insiders put out notes from front office execs on what a trade would look like. Diana Rossini said one GM said probably a 1 plus more, so a first-round pick plus more. He said, can't wait for the it'll be 3 1s crowd. Not happening. He also added could be a 1 and a 2, a 1 and 2 threes. Throw a player in there. So this GM basically says doesn't think it'll be multiple ones, but it'll be a 1 plus more picks. Jordan Schultz had this, though. Another NFL executive say, quote, I'd give up 2 first-round picks and more to land Myles Garrett. So what does that tell us? Probably that it's pretty early in the process, and that teams within their own buildings that are interested will start coming up with what an offer could look like. I would guess it's somewhere in the middle. Like if it is 2 firsts, it's probably just 2 firsts. Like it's not gonna be like 2 2s and 2 1s and 2 2s. But if it's just 1 first, maybe you get a player, maybe you get a couple other picks. So probably somewhere in the middle is what you're looking at. If I'm Cleveland, if I can get 2 firsts, especially if it's not from like the Chiefs or the Eagles or someone who's always picking 30th, I'm probably pulling the trigger there. Like I would just say, you know what? We love you, Myles. You're our best player, but you might be 32, 33 by the time we're really winning. And I'm sure in that building they think they can win next year. But just from an outsider perspective, I don't think that's realistic given their quarterback situation. Should the Browns trade Myles Garrett? What say you? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I would trade him if I was Cleveland. And coming up after this YouTube ad break, we're going to take a look at 5 teams that I think make sense for him. Okay, first potential trade destination for Myles Garrett. I think the Washington Commanders make a ton of sense. Their offense is in a really good spot. They could upgrade at running back, maybe add 1 or 2 offensive linemen, get a second receiver. But even if they didn't make major upgrades offensively, it's still going to be a probably top 10, top 12 offense next year. They have a ton of cap space. They need help on defense. Like, they check all the boxes for a team that would make a trade of this caliber. Quarterback on a rookie contract, trying to maximize that window. Need more help on defense. Cap space and draft capital to pull it off. Like, they check all of the boxes. And they're coming off a year in which they won 12 games. So they feel like this could be the missing piece to really take that next step. Obviously, they were in the NFC title game last year, but they were a little ahead of their skis. Like, they're probably more like a divisional team. But you get a guy like Myles Garrett, year 2 of Jaden Daniels, if he ascends, yada, 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 that changes kind of the outlook of what you could do, especially in an NFC that I think most would consider as pretty open next year. Okay, Detroit Lions. This would be the ultimate just go for broke, all in for 2025 move. We'll figure out the long-term financial ramifications later. Because a lot of their big, high-salary players' contracts really ramp up in 2026. So you could make this move now, structure it in a way where you can get him on board. Now, again, in 26, you're going to have to start restructuring, kicking the can down, cutting some guys. But if you're the Browns, or if you're the Lions, aren't you a little desperate here? Like, you just had this great 2-year run, but now you've lost some coordinators. You had a bunch of injuries last year. Like, to me, if I could get him, I would take that swing. You pair him with Aiden Hutchinson, who's coming back. You're still going to have a prolific offense. This window could close sooner rather than later in a tough NFC North. Like, that's if I'm a Lions fan, I'm really pushing for this because these windows come and go pretty quickly, especially when there's coaching turnover. Okay, the Buffalo Bills. You could throw the Ravens in here as well. Kind of same thought process of like, gosh, how do we get over the hump? How can we close the gap and get past Kansas City in the playoffs? Well, you had a guy like Myles Garrett who, let's face it, when they've played Kansas City in the playoffs, their defense has let them down more so than their offense. Like, the Chiefs didn't score 30 points all year. They scored 32 and beat you by 3 points. So you get a guy of this caliber to pair with an Ed Oliver, et cetera. All of a sudden, you're more than formidable in that front four. And, it's a, hey, let's get over the hump type of move. Like the Ravens last year, they tried it with Derrick Henry. And for a lot of the year, it was like, yeah, they might be able to get over the hump. And they lost a tight game to Buffalo. But they played much better in a game of that caliber than they had in the past. Buffalo's been knocking on the doorstep. Is Myles Garrett the difference? Like, could he get you over the edge? It's possible. One strip sack could be the difference in a game like this. So, again, the money's tricky there. They don't have a ton of cap flexibility, so they'd have to probably backload a new extension, which they could do if they bring him on. His cap hit currently would be $19 million, so that's not a crazy amount to deal with if you're Buffalo. You could make that work. Long-term, again, be a little tricky, but, you're in a spot for the Bills. Like, you're not worried about long-term. You're worried about 2025. How can we win a Super Bowl? Myles Garrett helps you do that. Okay, Chicago Bears. Kind of when you're looking at these teams, poor man's Washington right now, where they check a lot of the boxes, right? They need trenches players. They have a quarterback that they believe in on a rookie contract. They have cap space. So, like, they check those boxes. Obviously, they went 5-12, so it's up for debate how close the Bears are. I think people inside that building with the new staff and year 2 of Caleb, and if they address the trenches, think they could be a playoff team next year. Hell, they were a Hail Mary away from being 5-2 this year. So I think you look at this, and it probably comes down to how much draft allocation do you have to give up, because the Bears can't afford to not invest in their offensive line this offseason. So if trading for Myles Garrett prohibits you from doing that, then you probably can't. But depending on what picks Cleveland wants, and again, if I'm the Browns, I want probably at least one premium pick next year, then the Bears might be willing to do this because they can say, hey, we still have enough cap space to add guys in free agency. We'll still have at least 1 or 2 of our first 3 or 4 picks in the draft. We could add a starter there on the offensive line if needed. So I'll be interested to see if Ryan Poles is in on this. I could see him kind of seeing it both ways. I will say this. They have to have a clear plan for the offensive line and how to bolster it if they make this move. So if they make it, I got to think they have kind of a path to what they're looking for. Okay, the New England Patriots. I'll put them a distant 5th here only because Garrett cited his desire to win a Super Bowl, and Are the Patriots that close? Look, when you have a quarterback you believe in and a coach, like that can help a lot. They have a ton of roster holes, though. But I will say this: no one has more money. Other than Buffalo, the AFC East feels manageable. And if Drake May is who they think he is, then you can be ahead of schedule. Kind of like Jaden Daniels in Washington. Like they were ahead of schedule this year because Jaden played so well. Now, will that carry into year two? We'll see. But the one reason, like if you're New England, you have the 4th pick. 4 straight up for Garrett? I would do that if I'm the Patriots. Would the Browns, would they want more? I don't know, but you trade the 4th pick straight up. You still have all the rest of your picks this year and next year. You'd still have over $100 million in cap. Like that's pretty intriguing to me. And then if you're the Browns, you have the 2nd and the 4th pick. You could draft a quarterback and Abdul Carter potentially, or you could trade back from one of those picks, get extra ammunition next year to draft the QB next year. So that would be the intriguing part. Would Garrett want to go to New England? I don't know. Okay, which team will trade for Myles Garrett? What say you? There's plenty of other teams I think would be interested. 49ers I think would be one. Howie Roseman's always lurking, but their financials could be tough, but he seems to always find a way. So there will be probably 10 teams, I would imagine, in the next couple of days that are at least, talking inside their building like, hey, what would this look like if we tried to bring Myles Garrett in here? So let us know which team you think will trade for Myles Garrett. Okay, that'll do it for 4 Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. Subscribe for more NFL content. Let's get to 7,000 subs by the Super Bowl. See you guys soon.